Hi everyone. I hope everyone has had a happy and blessed Resurrection Sunday. And I just wanted to make a quick video because in my last video there was something very important, a very important detail that I had left off in one of my tables. And it was probably the most important detail out of all of the tables. And I really wanted to make another video so I could point that out. But before I show you that, it was actually in the Easter table. But if you look up here at the top, I had actually just pulled up some of the tables so I could review them that I had done in those last set of videos. And as you can see, they had all started with the word sign, except for the Easter one. So what I was looking for was to see if the sign of the cross would come up in the table. And as you saw, the word cross came up in just about all of those tables. And this one, when I did the Easter table, I just wanted to see if Easter itself was a sign of the Lord's coming. So I wasn't trying to predict a date or say that anything was going to happen on Easter. That wasn't the purpose. I was actually uploading the videos just, hours before midnight, so it was already just about Easter. So I wasn't trying to say something was going to happen that day. I was just pointing out what comes up in the tables. And even the March videos, I wasn't trying to point out a specific date. I'm just trying to show everyone that the word March comes up in the tables. Why it comes up, I really don't know, but it was obviously put in the tables in ELS form. It was encoded in there for some reason, possibly as a warning, or maybe as a countdown, or maybe it's just because people have been talking about something happening on March 26th or something happening on Purim, and that's why God put it in. What's amazing is the fact that God put in words like March and Purim and all the other related terms, and the way all these terms come up in the tables to tell a story. And that's what's really amazing, and that's what I've been wanting to share. It's never really been my purpose to try to set a date for the rapture. We know it's going to happen soon. We just don't know the exact date. I'm just trying to share the amazing codes that God has placed in the tables. That's all I've been trying to share. And with that, I want to go ahead and show you this Easter table over here. And the very important detail that I left off is right here where you see the word Jesus encoded in this light green color. And I'm going to go ahead and point out the letters so you can see where it says Jesus. There's a J right here, an E, an S, a U, and an S. And these are all equal distance skip. That doesn't happen randomly to have words like Jesus, Easter, sign, God, Son, Lord, star, all these words to come up in equal distance skip by accident. And there's probably many more terms in there other than that. Those are just a few terms that I put in this table and they came up. But what's amazing is right here where it says Jesus, I'm going to read a little bit of the text right behind here, and then I'll stop where it gets really interesting. And I'm going to start over here. It says, Abraham went with them to bring them on the way, and Jehovah, notice Jehovah is crossing Jesus. It uses the J in Jehovah. And Jehovah said, shall I hide from Abraham that which I do, seeing that Abraham had surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. Okay, so if you take this part right here, all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. This goes right through the word Jesus, right in the middle of the word Jesus. So I don't think that's an accident. God always had a plan from the very beginning when he made his promise to Abraham as to how he was going to bless all the nations of the earth through Abraham. And this proves it right here because it's encoded in the Bible. And not only is it encoded in the Bible, but it's encoded in the King James version of the Bible, which was written in the 1800s, I believe. So it was written long before computers were invented. No one could have orchestrated the letters that were written in the Bible to be equal distance skip, so that hundreds of years later, when computers got invented, that people could search for equal distance skip words in a text and be able to find these words. No one could have planned that before computers were even invented. So that clearly shows the hand of God in these tables. And I'm just going to review some of the other tables and some of the amazing things that were in those tables as well. But I just wanted to point that out because that proves that God inspired people not only to write the original scriptures in the Hebrew and the Greek. There's two testaments. Some people forget. They think there was only Hebrew. But God also inspired people to write in the Greek, in the New Testament. And they both make up the Bible. God is both the God of the Jews and the God of the Gentiles. He's the God of the whole world. And he gave the Old Testament in Hebrew to represent the nation through which all the world would be blessed, and the nation that would bring forth Christ. And then he inspired people to write the New Testament in the Greek, which he used to bless the entire world and all of the nations. And he's a God to both the Jews and the Gentiles, and the temple of God will be made up of both Jews and Gentiles. That's God's purpose, to bring the two together. And that may be what all this is about, what all is being depicted, not only in the tables, but in the actual Bible. It's all about the two coming together to become one. The Jews and the Gentiles, the Old and the New Testament. And there's two feasts that actually are involved with bringing the two together. And I believe those two feasts are Pentecost and Hanukkah. And I want to talk about that maybe in another video. But right now I just wanted to point out that God is both a Hebrew God and a Gentile God. And in fact, in the Bible, there's two brides. And let me just pause this a second and I'll show you a picture. Okay, in the Bible, there are two brides. There's two women. There's two books in the Bible that are actually named after women. Out of the whole entire Bible, there's only two books that are named after women. And one of those is the book of Esther, and the other one is the book of Ruth. And in the book of Esther, the bride is a Jew and the king is a Gentile. And in the book of Ruth, the bride is a Gentile and the king is a Jew. Okay, one happens during the time of Hanukkah. Esther became crowned as queen during the time of Hanukkah. And the other one happens during Pentecost. Every feast has a parallel feast. And I believe Hanukkah is a parallel to Pentecost. And there's two brides, and one is Jew and one is Gentile. And there's two kings, and one is a Gentile and the other one is a Jew. So God is a God of both, and the bride is both. And I'd like to talk more about Pentecost and Hanukkah, like I said, but that will have to be in another video. But I just wanted to make that statement for now. Okay, the other thing I want to talk about is the word Easter. But again, I think I may have to talk about that in the next video. But I just want to show for now that the word Easter does come up in ELS form, as you can see in this table right here. God encoded it in ELS form. So that does show that God acknowledges the word Easter as well as the word Jesus. There's also codes that have Yeshua in the table, but I think this shows that God is not going to hold it against us if we use the name Jesus when we're speaking in English, and if we use the word Easter when we're speaking in English. I think the codes prove that, and I can talk more about that in another table, but I just wanted to make that statement as well. And then I just wanted to continue reading the rest of the text over here behind the word Jesus. It goes on to say, "For I have known him to the end, that he may command his children and his household after him, that they may keep the way of Jehovah, to do righteousness and justice to the end." And that's what's coming up behind the name Jesus. So I don't think that's any accident that that's what comes up behind the name Jesus. And then I just wanted to review some of the other terms that had come up in some of the other tables. Okay, in this table here we had the word cross, and this was coming up in the book of Acts, chapter 16. And right where it had the word cross, it had this phrase. It said, "The Most High God, who proclaim unto you the way of salvation." And we know from the scriptures that Jesus is the only way to salvation. So this, again, was not an accident that this phrase crosses right through the word cross. And in addition, it had words like bled and shed, because Jesus shed his blood on the cross, and he did this for many so that we could have salvation. So all these terms are not by accident. They all refer to Jesus on the cross. Okay, in this table over here, this one was coming up in Matthew 23 through 24, which is very key scriptures for the end times. And in this table, it had the word cross over here in the bluish purple with the letters C-R-O-S-S. And right behind the word cross here, well, first of all, you see the word blood several times. You see blood here, and you see blood again over here. Of course, Jesus had to shed his blood on the cross in order for us to have salvation. And you see blood again here. And this is giving us the image of Christ on the cross. I mean, there was obviously a lot of blood, and that's depicted in the video, in the table. Okay, and I'm about to run out of time, so I'll continue going over those terms in the table in the next video.